That whole commercial. Wow.
Andalusia Marine, located in Andalusia, Alabama, your express, all-weld stick steering, Polarcraft, Starcraft, veranda pontoon dealer. One call heating, air, and refrigeration, Mr. Stephen Dubb, an air conditioning guy you can trust. RMC Mechanical Contractors, located in Chelsea, Alabama. Give us a call for all your industrial contracting needs. Styler Arms, located in Bessemer, Alabama. You can also pick these rifles up at Simmons Sporting Goods. That is a Steyr Scout in that picture. I've been hunting with a pro hunter for about 30 years, guy. One of the finest rifles made. Pick one up today, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Alpha Plumbing, Mr. D. Robinson. He's been with us since day one. Call him for any of your plumbing needs, a plumbing guy you can trust. CT Ward Power Sports, Camden, Alabama on Highway 28. Your Excel center console, side console, golf your pontoon, Hustler Lawnmower, and Mercury and Yamaha service dealer. Power Brakes. If you want to get your total boat control under control, get you a set of these. Give old Chad Clifton a call, www.mypowerbrakes.com. All right, folks. Welcome to CrappieKast. We're jumping on here at 7 o'clock live. I've got Mr. Ryan Duley there. You'll see him up top out of Missouri. Y'all know John and Jessica, but we're going to go over some stuff. Mr. Ryan fished the Crappie Masters National Championship in Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma. He's going to tell us a little bit about that. And we're going to talk some crappie and have some fun tonight like we always do. How you doing tonight, Ryan?
I'm great. How about you all?
Doing good. What about you, John and Jessica? I think everybody's in a good mood. Everybody got some rain here in Alabama, thank God. And John said they got a good bit of rain, so that's good, man.
Weather's cooled down a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, it puts everybody in a lot better mood.
I'm going to a lake tomorrow I've been avoiding because typically during the summer it's not very much fun. But tomorrow it's on.
Yeah, I know you told me you was going. Oh, that's good. Let's got Mitch Blunt. He's on here. Hey, buddy. He's out of South Carolina. Scott Seals, Mr. Bill Lally, Ronnie McKenzie, Dace Giddens, Nicholas Duchok. Holden Higgs is on here. He said he got about 30 in the boat. Headed home right now. That's awesome. Appreciate y'all. Mr. James Trott, Slab Busters on here. And we got 47 people jumped on here quick. I appreciate y'all, man. So tell us what it's like in Missouri weather-wise there, Ryan.
Well, it cooled down quite a bit, but the last couple of days it's got up in the 80s again on the highs. But it's beautiful. The leaves are starting to turn a little bit, and so we know fall's right around the corner. Yeah, I think we got a cold front coming in tomorrow, maybe, and it's supposed to get highs in probably low 70s, so that'd be nice.
Yeah, I think we got one, John.
Weather.
Oh, yeah. Well, deer season, you said youth season's open. Is that what you're getting ready for?
Yeah, this weekend we got youth season in Kentucky, which is about 45 minutes from us, where we got a spot there in Kentucky to hunt, and hopefully get the kids. We're going to put them on doe patrol before they all get bred, and we'll let them key in on those bucks a little bit later in the season. But right now we need to do some doe patrol. We got way too many of them.
I understand. That's awesome. I'm sorry, Mitch. Mitch is up there in South Carolina getting ready for the tournament at Greenwood, Lake Greenwood. I said he was from South Carolina. I don't know what he's up in South Carolina. He's from Georgia. I'm sorry. I had to correct myself. Sorry about that, Mitch. Mitch, we met Mitch at the expo. He keeps up with us a lot. I knew when he said his name, I was like, oh, John and I and Jessica, we recognized it right away. So you been crappie fishing at all since you followed, Ryan?
I did one tournament down at Grenada a couple weeks ago with Danny McDonald. He kind of took over the Mississippi Crappie Trail and renamed it to the Big Four, the Mississippi Big Four Lakes. I can't remember the name, but anyway, I fished that, and that was a rude awakening. No pre-fishing, just going. Me and my son left at 2:00 in the morning to get down there in time for registration and live well checks, and I haven't fished it since March, so I just thought, well, I'm going to go back to where I caught them in March and see if they're there. Which we finished 7th, and that wasn't too bad considering we had no pre-fishing and just floating around and finding them. And one of the few boats up in the Schooner Arm. I think the rest of them were where they're always at over by the bridge on Graceport.
Gotcha. So that was on Grenada. I got you.
Yeah, Grenada. Yep. The
Yeah,
lowest
John.
I've ever fished that lake too. It was a 207.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really didn't know. I just don't know the lake. I've only been on it, 3 or 4 times in my life, and I was just hoping. Everybody said you'll be all right as long as we don't go under that bridge at Graceport, which I wasn't even messing with that side. I just went to the schooner and stopped where the tree started and just put the trolling motor down and went fishing. We had a good time.
That's good. You coming? Hey, that's pretty good. Finishing 7th.
Yeah,
real good.
We were happy with it.
Those fish up there by Graceport, they got a whole different definition of training and learning. They got their PhD where other lakes, the Crappie have got, kindergarten education. Those fish up there by Graceport, they know what's going on. They see a boat.
They done went to Harvard or somewhere like that, haven't they?
Yeah, I know Hayden puts I guarantee you he's put a bait in front of every one of them things up that way. He sure had. John and Jessica, y'all been at a conference all week down in Florida.
Yeah, Pensacola, yes.
Yeah, they have been, because John and I recorded that in-depth series. He was down there, and they were down there enjoying. Just got a conference and was down there, I guess, getting a break. John wasn't getting a break, I guess, but
it was starting to get nasty down there. There was a storm brewing in the Gulf, and when we left, it was blowing pretty good, and I was like, golly. They put a new wrap on my boat, and I wanted to go get it and put it on the water. And so we got home, and first thing I want to do is go get the boat. But it was blowing pretty hard here today, so I didn't get to go out today. But tomorrow they better have a chin strap buckle, because I'm coming back.
You went and picked up the wrap boat. You went and picked up your Express.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll picture of it tomorrow with all the stuff on it.
Yeah, good, man. You need to share that with us. I know you said you got a new wrap.
I hadn't got all the stickers and stuff. I got, Steve from Limits Tiger was supposed to send me some more stuff, and then I got 2 of the Outlaws on there, but we're gonna get it dressed up pretty.
I got you. That's good. So, what was I going to ask you? Somebody was talking about the front here. I think there's some wind supposed to. I think the wind's supposed to blow out of the west Saturday here, and then
tomorrow where we're at is going to be the best day to fish.
Okay.
If you can get out, if you're in our area, I think it's going at like 8 o'clock. It's going for 2 miles an hour, but Saturday it's going to be messed up Saturday, and I mean, it's typical. People get off work and Saturday's bad. And this time
it's that pattern, man. Yeah, I fished last Saturday, guys, and I had 2 fellas with me, and I'm telling you, it was white capping, and he looked around. He said, "Man, there ain't no other boats out here." So we're the only dummies here, so we have to fish. So
hey, Duley, what we call that when the wind's blowing? Good training.
That's right. Go anytime you get a chance when the wind's blowing. It's going to train you to, and also start out an aluminum boat. Now that I got that glass boat, all those years in that Sea Arc, it's taught me a lot about boat control in that aluminum boat in the windy days.
That is true. Putting that nose in the wind, Ryan, y'all are exactly right. And getting it up there and getting it lined up on that fish and making that cast and getting that fish. I mean, it's one of those things you're not going to learn how to do unless you get out there. Is that not right?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. Yeah, it make you better to get out in the roughest conditions. I think Ronnie Capps always said that. Anytime the weather's bad, he's got out there fishing so he can get better.
Yeah, I mean that's a great tip, guys. Most people avoid it, but if you got live scope and a good trolling motor and can learn about boat control, that's a good thing. Let's see. I got somebody's asked some questions here. Jacob is it Alcorn? Yes. When the lake turns over or whatever that's called, does that affect the bite? It's coming, guys, so y'all can kind of go over that and give your opinion on it.
I think absolutely it does.
Absolutely.
Puts them in an ill mood, and from what I've seen, a lot of times they just won't even pay attention to the bait. I found them a lot of times down in the bottom too, like down in the mud.
But once they get settled into it, being taught the bottom temperature, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
So y'all explain when they're talking about turning over, what is that doing, John? You know, the thermocline, what is it doing as far as turning over?
I mean, pretty much thermocline's gone, what we're talking about is that water is getting the temperature at the top is getting close to the temperature that was at the bottom. And that's what we're saying when we're saying they call it the flip or the turnover, whatever they want to call it. But it's where your temperature at the top is getting close to what it has been, like way down, like groundwater temp. And once it gets where those fish are adjusted to it, what, maybe 64 degrees, what is it, 64 or 67 is groundwater temp? I can't remember. But anyway, when it gets right in there and they get used to it, they start feeding better. Everything starts working better for you. Would you agree with that, Ryan?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, everybody, they get better attitudes and they get more bunched up. It's just the wintertime, them guys that I used to fish with, they couldn't wait till gun season opened in Alabama, and when gun season opened, that's when they was getting fired up to go. And, especially Thanksgiving break, and nobody's on the water and the fish are thumping. I know I've had some of my best days right there around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
For sure.
Everybody, I see some of the comments are talking about having their better look on windy days.
Yeah.
A lot of it, nowadays is like before you make that cast, push into that pile and get you a little bit of momentum before it backs you up, away from the pile. Because when it backs your boat up away from the pile, it's speeding your jig up. It's doing, what I'm saying. And once if you ever bump that trolling motor when you got a finicky crappie following your bait, when you bump that trolling motor after they're following it, like, to ease back into it, it changes the cadence of that jig. And anybody that's messed with a finicky fish, if you mess with the cadence of that jig up, it messes with their head, and a lot of times they won't bite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right, John. You have to make a good run. Like John's saying, you make a run up there and say, all right, man, I'm at 15 feet. I'm going to cast, and the next thing you know, your bait falls, you're at 20 feet. I'm like, I found my sweet spot. My line's tied. I don't have a big loop in it. You got to find that sweet spot to get it in front of those fish, and then, you're going to pick one up and spot lock it and land the fish and have to go right back up. It's, you have to be patient because you're going to get aggravated. I mean, I'm sure that those big lakes that Ryan fishes up there in Missouri, I'm sure they get rough, man.
Yeah, you follow was pretty rough several days. It was
right.
It was something else.
Duley, talk a little bit about that. What you did, the pre-fishing, and how the tournament went, and what how you fished, and going in there. I mean, what did you look for, and
so
tournament.
So that being the first time there, never been there before. 100 and some say it's 104. I heard 110. It's a big lake, and trying to break that down in 3 days to pre-fish. I decided I was going to fish the north one day, the mid lake one day, and the south one day. All the talk is that a lot of people believe that the tournament is going to be won on the south, and so I got there. I didn't get there till about 1 o'clock on Sunday morning. And good buddy of mine, Frank Heidechek, had an extra couch for me to crash that night because our house wasn't open till the next day on Sunday. So I crashed there with Frank and realized, hey, I'm only 10 minutes away from that north boat ramp. So I got up about 6 o'clock. I got a few hours sleep, got out there and just went to the north side. Not knowing where to go, I've seen some creek channels and stuff. So as soon as I got the boat off the trailer, put the trolling motor down and just started cruising, just looking for stuff. Found some good fish out on the flats. Nothing that I thought was going to win a tournament at that time. And I just started going around and, back home during the September, October months, a lot of these big fish get up in them shallow stake beds. And I thought, surely, as big as this lake is, there's some stake beds somewhere up in them shallow coves. And I went and I found about 6 stake beds up in the cove, and they were loaded with good fish. I thought was good fish. So I kept that, on the back burner. And the next day, I went to Mid Lake, and we had to shoot a video with a vet for Crappie Masters, and we were launching out of there close to where the weigh-in was. I thought, well, we're just going to go up across the bridge and just try, do a video, and seen some crappie. And then I thought, man, there's a lot of good fish here. So when we got done with the video, took him back. I went back up there to kind of scout that area. I believe it was the area where all the guys the elites were at. I call it the Three Fingers up in that area. It's where they all was fishing during the Elite Series. And I went up there and couldn't find nothing but sand bass on every tree. Oh, it was driving me nuts. I wasted 5 hours, and I just scratched that part of the lake out. I said, well, I'm not going to spend all my time hoping this sand bass. I mean, they were sitting on trees just like crappie, just nice and pretty.
That's
but
crazy.
as soon as you got the jig, they would swim away and come right back to the trees. I know they would sand bass, but so the third day, then that second day on Tuesday, we had to quit at noon, I think, for registration and all that. So I only got half a day in. And then the next day I went to the south end. That Tuesday I went to the south end because we only had a half a day. And I didn't catch I couldn't find any fish on that south end. I burned I think it was close to $150 worth of gas moving around from everywhere. It was such a big lake. And the final day, I decided, well, I found some decent fish on that north end. I'm just going to explore that area a little bit bigger. And I started cruising that flat there and right on the river creek channel edge. And I thought, man, this is where I need to be. This is where I found the most fish. And what's crazy about this lake is I might have seen 2 tournament guys that I recognized the whole time I was on this lake. It's so big. And so the first day of the tournament, I had those stake beds on my mind. I said, I'm going to go spend a couple hours on stake beds and at least get me, 7 fish weighed 130, because that's about what they were, was 130s. And my 130s turned into 110s. So, well, I need to get somewhere quick. And so about 10 o'clock, I went out on that flat, and that's about the time camera boat came around and got on my boat. And that's when I started seeing them, just out there suspended about 12, 14 foot deep. And I caught all 7 fish in the first hour. And there really wasn't that many boats out there that day. But I think word got around that second day, I'd say 70, 80% of the field was out there. And then
some company.
Made the cut on the third day. It'll be a top 50 after day 2 to get to fish day 3. And I thought, well, that means there's going to be less boat pressure there. Just the top 50. Well, I think all 50 of us were out there.
That's awesome. So where did you end up placing there, Ryan?
I finished up 10th.
Man, that's pretty good run there, buddy.
I was very happy with that, being my first time there. And I mean, the competition, the Crappie Masters Trail is just, everybody out there is just dynamite. That's stiff competition. And, amongst all them, I think they had 26 local teams that fished the local Oklahoma trail that qualified. And so, I knew it was going to be tough.
You fell too in Angler of the Year for Crappie Masters National Trail. What'd you end up on it?
I ended up in 6th place for Angler of the Year. Jordan Sanders and Jason were like 5 points ahead of me, and I didn't make no ground on them boys. They were pretty tough out there. But I went in 5 points behind Travis Decker in Culbertson for Rookie of the Year. And I didn't know it was them, but we were all fishing the same area all 3 days. I didn't realize it until after the tournament was over. But I think our gap, we were within 1 point. I lost the Rookie of the Year by 1 point. Dang, and I got to looking about that. If I think Robert Carlisle came in 9th, and I was 0.04 pounds from 9th place. If I just one more fish, Well, I got rookie of the year. I can't ever get rookie of the year no more. That was the important thing for me.
I understand. Well, you had a good tournament, man. Like you said,
Yeah,
that lake's huge. I mean,
yeah, I was pleased. I sometimes, a lot of these guys, in the top, guide for a living, guide every day, and so I was very fortunate and felt blessed that I finished where I was at, being a guy that takes care of lawns for a living. During the summertime, I don't get much time to fish, and you lose a little bit of edge when you don't get to fish.
that's exactly right.
But when wintertime's coming, I'm gonna start practicing up again.
There you go. Well, somebody asked something about the wintertime. Here it goes. Oh, Crappie Crane. How do fish react with heavy rain and cold fronts? We got that coming, guys. We might as well go over a little bit of it because, here in November, December, it's coming. It's going to start raining probably before long, won't quit. So how do you know, John, you can answer, then Ryan, you can answer how you approach, if you had several inches of rain, you got some mud, you've been catching fish. Now, how are you going to approach those fish, to find out where they move to or whatever? So.
Not necessarily always approach is what it might do to them. You might go today and have your perfect dream setup setting up under a boathouse and say, golly, I'm pulling 1.7, 1.6s, 2s out from under this boathouse. Then that front comes in and it pushes them out from under that boathouse out of the structure out from it. You got to think, say, all right, hey, they were there yesterday. Where could they have gone? So you got to, when you find those fish, think about what might be an alternate place for them to be the next day. Because the worst feeling in the world is to have something figured out and then show up that day or that morning and it's like Houdini move, they're gone.
That happens. You're right.
All right, I know they're still in this area. Where did they go? Maybe it's 150 yards, 100 yards away, and they moved to some structure off of something, or they might have moved out to the channel, or they might have moved from the channel into some to a point with some structure. That's the little things that sometimes make people more successful. Where you don't hang up your hat and just go to the house.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan? How do you start doing it? Your home lake there. How do you?
My home lake a little bit different than what a lot of y'all fish. You got a lot of docks and black fish. We have pretty much just white fish. Our blackfish don't get bigger than 9 inches long, and so I always look for the creek channels, the deeper creek channels when a cold front comes through, or on the edges of them. Our fish stay out on the flats a lot. You catch them on the flats a lot during the fall and the winter. But anytime that cold front comes through, if it's a big cold front, if you're talking a few degrees, it usually doesn't affect them much. But when you got one of them big ones come through, I always go to the creek channels.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know that. I know the rivers I fish when they flood. It's so hard to predict where those fish go because it gets up several feet. It just doesn't go up a couple of inches. It blows them out, and they kind of, like you said, kind of get suspended out there and by a creek channel or some secondary, structure.
Are you talking about the Alabama River?
Alabama, the Warrior, all of them. Alabama, the Miller's Ferry Inn doesn't flood that bad, but the Warrior River in Demopolis, I've been down there when it's 12 foot high before. It's crazy.
I fished the Alabama River back in the ACT National Championship in 2019, and I thought, man, I am the suckiest fisherman there is. I caught 2 fish in 3 days right before the tournament started, and I thought, this is nuts. Back then I had my Sea Arc, and the highlight of my whole trip was I got that Sea Arc up to 45 miles an hour because I had a 5 mile an hour current going downriver.
Is that the tournament Josh Jones done well down by the dam or something?
Yes.
I remember that.
Josh won it.
He won it.
And I think Erica's right there behind him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't have enough gas in my boat to go down to the dam. I had the furthest I could go was Swift Creek, and I was by the time I made Swift Creek and back, is it Cooter's Pond? Is that where I think we took off?
Yeah.
I had just about a 16th of a tank of gas left every day.
Well, it's better than Justin and I did last year. We left Cooters and ran all the way to the dam and came all the way back and weighed in 1 fish. That's
Hey, that was the tournament we fished this past spring, wasn't it?
yeah. It
Oh, it was awful, dude. Ryan, it was bad.
worst tournament we've ever had in our whole crappie fishing.
Heartbreaking.
Yes.
I actually got lucky and found some fish on our dock, but I'm not exaggerating. The wind was blowing so bad. Richard grabbed a hold to the post of the dock, like bear hugged it and held it up there where I could shoot up under there and catch. I should have stayed in there, but I was like, man, this is bad.
Play in, but 2 more than we did. So
Yeah, I had 3. I had a whopping 3. I had 3 and come in 8th, 9th. It was bad. I mean, you know, that river can humble you, and man, it just does.
I'd like to see it good because after that one tournament, I'd said I don't ever have to go back to that one again.
I understand that, man. I see Jessica Hicks is on here. She's saying there's 60 boats up here for the USA Classic. Is that on Cumberland? Is that where they are?
I think it's Cumberland.
Yeah, I seen where Haddishak's posting.
They dealing with that 8-foot visibility.
I seen that. Y'all, people sticking their hand in the water and it looks like bath water. Like, I was like, because Haddishak or somebody posted some pictures of
I feel
they're hanging down in the water.
They have had some more time. They've had like a flat tire, changed out the spare, then the spare blows out, it goes off the rim. They have caught hell the whole time. Kevin and Jessica Hicks, they have caught hell the whole time they've been there.
Jessica, I hope you're holding him down.
Yeah. Them tire things. Hey, I changed a bearing out on my trailer, and I'm just giving this tip, guys. This is a good tip. Nick Duchok, he's on here. We changed the bearing out on my trailer. It went out right when we got to the ramp. I said, hey, let's just put it in. We'll change it when we get out. Long story short, we jacked it up, changed the bearing, went to go home, stopped at the store to check it, and he goes, man, that tire looks a little low. I'm like, what? So anyway, I'm going to go right up the road to put some air in it. It was flat by the time I got there. I'm like, man, that's crazy. So I changed the tire, went to my buddy's house to put something on my boat, got up there and blowed that tire out, and I'm like, something's wrong. I looked under the boat, guys, and the clamp that goes on my leaf springs had come loose, and the leaf spring was slid out and was cutting my tire.
Whoa.
I was like, how does that happen? You know, just a little band that goes around the leaf springs. It just wraps around there. I'll never forget that the rest of my life. I was like, you know, that's the way Jessica and them felt, I'm sure. Like, really? I mean, never seen anything like that, but all you can do is kind of say a few choice words and handle it and learn from it.
The charger died.
Oh, yeah, that's what she's saying right here. She's saying,
and Kevin?
he said he didn't have one meltdown, Shallow Chappelle, and I said he must be turning over a new leaf. He did.
No meltdowns, huh? That's
Man.
Awesome. Let's have some of them gummies.
You fish long enough. But you know, guys, you do this long enough, you're gonna have all this. You know, Murphy's Law is gonna get you sooner or later. So you better be prepared. These bearings are gonna go out. You're gonna have flat tires. You know, you're gonna have stuff like that. Hey, them are just as good as tips as fishing, man. To me, is hey, be prepared for it, and hey, you might as well, you know, get it handled. So.
Yeah, something I used to do on my CR, of course, it was just a single axle trailer. Every year, I'll just go buy two $50 hubs, brand new hubs, and just put them on just every year. That way I wouldn't ever have an issue like that. But now my new boats, it's got those Dexter seals, it's got the oil grease on them. Mm-hmm. And supposedly they're supposed to be maintenance free for several years, but this winter, I'm probably still going to do something to them.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my biggest fears traveling all across the country is the bearings and the tires.
Yeah.
So, Shane, I guess we probably could go ahead and talk about this since we talked to somebody about it at the expo. Our next Mad Adam crappie trip. We've got some friends from Lake Eufaula, Alabama.
That's right.
That have talked to us about somewhere to stay. And so tentatively, we're going, in the next few months, we're going to name a date or a series of days, and we're going to have another Mad Adam crappie trip.
That was fun. That was awesome time.
I want in on this next trip.
Hey, come on down. Hey, you follow us. John's fished it. I've never been down there, but they said the population's good. I
I mean, Lake Eufaula, Alabama, I would give away places to fish. It's that good. I'll just say, all right, you guys, just go to this area.
Yeah, and we'll try to get a group. I think it was, let's see who all went. It was John and Jessica. Tommy come met us. It was me and Corey Newby. Scott was there.
Yeah.
Kevin
And who?
Kevin and Jake,
Kevin, Jessica. That was. I think that's it. We had
his friend, and we had I mean, that was the first one we did. It was just like a little pop-up deal.
Well,
So this next one, we're going to try to organize it more and maybe even block off some rooms there at Lake Point. We got a couple places to stay for some of us, but we're going to all try to put in and go fishing and then meet back up and have dinner like we did last time.
man, yeah, oh yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to, it'll be at least 2 nights, 3 days of fishing. So if you want to be a part of it, just try to, here in the next few months, we'll get something that's more firm on dates here. Shane and I are working on that. But we were fortunate that the expo had somebody came up to us and said, hey, if y'all want to have one of those Mad Adam crappie fishing trips,
Sure did.
come to Lake Eufaula, Alabama. And I was like, well, don't tease us with a good time.
Yeah, I knew John. It was already on the radar, and John was like, he looked at me, I looked at him. I said, "How you talking?"
I told Shane, I said, you're gonna go over and murder some fish. You let it get cold over at Lake Eufaula, Alabama, and you can lay the hammer down.
You got both blacks and whites over there?
There's blacks, just blacks.
Just blacks.
Dooley, me and you could go over there in 2 hours when they're hot, like during the winter. 2 hours, we'd be back at the boat ramp, bud.
Yeah, John sent me pictures of that out there in that standing timber, just fish after fish and just clouds of them. So hopefully we'll get that planned out. And hey, if we got 25 people, we got 25 people. Hey, we'll have a big fellowship. Hey, take a group picture. I mean, that's what this thing's about. That's why we really started this thing. Crappie fellowship. And these bass tournaments, they got these pros, especially, they got their little groups that camp out. Hey, I want to have a big group, let's get to the launch and hey, share pictures of a bunch of fish and, have some fun. And those things might, as it continues to grow, we'll just keep going with it.
Plan ahead. I'll bring some ribeye roasts for supper.
Oh yeah. Let's speaking to that. We were just,
go ahead and put it up there, Shane.
There it is right there, guys. Look at that right there.
That top one's about 45 days age. That bottom one's about 20.
He's aging them for. Tell everybody what you're doing with those steaks, right?
I was just aging them. Let all the stuff break down in them, and you gotta. I took one up there with us to Eufaula, and about everybody was gagging because of the smell. But you cut all the bad off of it, and you've got the most tender, best tasting piece of meat there is.
I've heard stories about. I guess it's just dry aging them. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's dry aging, and tease John. When we first met down at Grenada, was it 2 years ago? No, it was last fall. It was last fall, wasn't it?
It's been longer than that, bud. You remember the first time we stayed at Miss Louise's?
When he brought the steak.
Oh yeah. You were supposed to bring the steaks.
Last fall, because it was championship, and my son came down. Because we teased him about his girlfriend. All he wanted to do is talk to her. Yeah. Yeah. So the week before, I had one in there aging for about 30 days. And the week before, I go in to get it out or to check up. I've been sending John pictures of it weekly to see how the breakdown of it.
I remember that.
And I go in there and it's gone. I thought somebody's pulling a mean trick on me. And I had some buddies that were going elk hunting to Colorado, and come to find out, they grabbed it. They thought it was theirs, and they took it off Colorado. And I'm a week before, so I had to go get one that day, and it only aged for about 10 or 11 days before we made it to Grenada. But I'll tell you what, it was still dang good.
I've got to say something now. That dang Dooley can cook a steak, son.
There you go.
Hey, when it comes time, him and Shane Jones both, when it comes time to cook a steak, get out of the way.
Yeah, we're going. Hey, that'd be fun. Hey, that Mad Adam tour, like I said, it'll be the second trip. Hey, we'll have some fun. Hopefully we'll get some stickers made. If I can talk old Jake into making some, hopefully we can. It'd be fun.
Crutchfield, he said that, we could get, we could stay with him. Some of us could. And there's some cabins that are reasonably priced up there by him.
Yeah.
State Park. So I don't think we'll have a problem. And if we book enough in advance and making an event, I feel like we'll get us some good rates. So
yeah. Well, we'll try to do it, let it cool on off, maybe December. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out, let it get cold and, cool off and fish bunch up. I'm glad Mr. Dustin Headley brought this up. He said, would love to join y'all. Hope you guys and gals are doing awesome. Thanks again for doing the big fish deal last weekend. Winning weight and lay was 9 pounds, 7 ounces. Thanks for all the help. CrappieKast just put a little money towards the big fish pot, and heck, and it just sweetened the deal for those guys. They've been nice to us. John and Jess just fished it, and you're welcome, Dustin. We appreciate you tuning in for sure. Let's see if I got any questions I'm missing in here.
Dude, talk to everybody. I mean, you've got the boat everybody wants right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Talk about your setup, dude. You've talked about it before, but it's been a while since you've been on. So
I don't know what you've done to it that like similar to other people. Like some people are putting weight in the front of the boat, and I don't know what all you've done to yours, but you took, us being friends, you talked to me about it, and you said, "Hey, this has helped me 100-fold." Tell me about it.
Yeah, so coming from a 18-foot Sea Arc aluminum going to a 22-foot glass boat, I mean it's day and night difference. The boat handles so much better in the wind, and I think a lot of my success I had at Eufaula this a few weeks ago was due to that boat, because there was times that the waves, the trolling motor's coming out of the water on a glass boat. If I was in an aluminum boat, I would have never been able to, stay out there. And it's kind of funny thing that the second day was the rough day, the real rough day. We had thunderstorms come through and a ton of rain. There wasn't a dry spot anywhere in my boat or in my compartments. That's something I got to work on. Got to get them things sealed up. But when I was leaving to go back to the boat ramp, I had awful trouble getting up on plane, and I realized that my automatic bilge lever was locked, and my boat had so much water in it. That's probably why I did as well as I did, because there's no telling how many. I think it was halfway up my batteries in the back. There was a lot of water in it, but it kept me stable, and when you're dead sticking these fish, they're out there suspended. You got to keep that bait still. That bait can't be moving with the waves of your boat, but yeah, that 22-footer, I'm glad I have it. I'm blessed to be able to find one. I'm glad the guy I bought mine off of a college kid that couldn't afford to keep it running. He had such bad luck with it. The transom separated on it. He had to come up with like $8,000 to fix that. And then after he got that fixed, the motor blew on it. And so he's like, I'm done. And I got college to pay for, not a boat. So I took it off his hands and got the motor rebuilt in it. And it's been an awesome boat. It's been definitely awesome. Actually, a couple of buddies, there's about 4 of us stayed together in a house down there, all from around where I live. And 2 of them had aluminum boats. And they decided after that tournament, well, right now, as we speak, both of them's got glass boats. They got glass boats in the last 2 weeks.
So you're running a Ranger 522? That's what you're running, right?
Yeah, I'm running a 2000 model. It's a 2000 model with a 250 Mercury Pro XS on it, 2-stroke. I talked to John the other day about what a Yammer was going to cost to get one on there, because that oil on them 2-strokes, that's adding up to a lot of money spent on that oil.
He's fitting to bring that boat down there and let me say it real loud. Andalusia Marine.
Here you go, get him a Yamaha. Put on the back of there. There you go. Hey, but a lot of I taught the top 5. Old JC Carr. He knocked a chunk out of his Ranger 522. He's putting that gorilla hole that Shiloh talks about on here. Went down to Toledo Bend, and you're talking about a rig. You get a 522 with that gorilla hull and that's a tank. You know.
Yeah. I had to put 55 trolling motors on the back because you get, when you start getting a lot of momentum, those 40s, definitely the 30s, was not going to stop that boat.
I believe it.
I had to, get 55s. And, there's something else about the Eufaula tournament. Hayden was down there in that area fishing too. And that sucker, I mean, I had my trolling motor fast as go, and he was running circles around me. I said, what in the world's going on? Come to find out, he's got 2 trolling motors pushing him with his regular trolling motor and his brakes. I seen him. He was probably within 40 yards or so. And I look up and he's gone. I mean, this is a big lake. Where'd he go? I mean, he is cruising through there.
Right. I think he's got that battery guy, his buddy. Ain't no telling what kind of batteries and power he's running. And
that mind of his is always thinking of what can I do next. You ever been around Hayden? He's and talk to him. He's like thinking on another level. Worrying about what can I do next. Jessica and I got the pleasure of going fishing with him, and I got the pleasure of being on the boat with him during the tournament. And he's just like, his mind is just like click, 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 click.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to start winning some tournaments to keep my mind from shutting down, because I'm always thinking too. But if you ain't winning tournaments, you're where that money's got to come from somewhere.
You're exactly
you can always
right.
put stuff on that boat.
Hey, dude, let me ask you a question. You ever think every now and then, when will it end? When will I have everything? And I won't buy.
Yeah, every day. I thought after them crappie breaks, that's it. I don't need nothing else. Well, then the 16-inch screen came up. No, I don't need nothing else. Well, now the NBT monitor's coming up, and then more different brakes. Chad's power brakes. That's keep them power posts from breaking. It's just where's the bleeding stop?
Well, the good thing about it is it's evolving all the time.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have NBT Marine's gonna be on with us next week.
I think we're gonna try it next week. I think he said he's doing something. He's out of pocket this Thursday, but that kid, man, we met him at the expo, and me and John was kind of eyeballing. He's got a 22-inch screen down there lit up and a 16, and we met him, and man, that kid is sharp, man. He's done his homework. I think Top 5 bought him one, and John got him a 16-inch screen, and John sent a video to me of his, I guess this is 8612, and they're like, why is that screen so clear? It's 8600 series, man. It's everybody's wondering if it's a setting or something. Man, those 8600 series are the processor and the pixels are as high as you can get. I mean, that's the way they look.
And then the Garmin's, go ahead, John.
I sent that picture to Shane, but I can clean that screen up like that all the time. But I run it hotter to see more of my bait and stuff like that. So I can clean it up, make it look pretty like that. But, dude, Ryan, I think at times you don't want to run it clean. I want to see it as hot as I can see it. So I'm picking up stuff that I wouldn't when I'm running my gain at 53%. And I don't know what it was in that video, but
68, I think 68, if I remember right.
It was that hot.
Yeah, it was hot. Yeah, it was hot. You had a little distortion to it, but yeah, you run it pretty hot. I think Ryan's fixing to say this. They didn't come out with a 9200 series. They just come out with.
Yeah, the 4. It's got faster processors, and they just keep on.
A 9217. I think I seen a video on it today.
They got me.
19. Was it 19?
19. That's it. Yeah, 19. Yeah. Then they got a 24, I think, a 22 or something. I forget. Yeah. I seen $9,999 below the one I looked at.
Starting at $10,000.
I said, Lord have mercy.
That MBT's looking a lot better.
Hey, dude, you gonna have everybody's gonna be having a boat payment, and then they're gonna have a Garmin payment.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. As we get older, I can't see as well as I used to. Obviously, I got glasses on, or not squinting, but it's they just keep advancing stuff, and Garmin's trying to stay ahead of the game. So hey, more power to them.
Hey, Shane, before we forget,
Yeah.
we need to give a shout out to all of our trucks that get our boats to the lakes that we fish.
Hey,
Yeah,
amen.
I see that your old Toyota got some miles, and my old
Oh,
Ford,
yeah.
my old Ford's got about 306,000. I thought that sucker was rolling, but it not compared to you.
No, my old Tundra out there, it's a 2008, and man, and I'm not sponsored by ProLube whatsoever, but I came across that ProLube, man, and put it. Even my boat now, it was new in December, and I run down the river and you got a little vibration, just the motor running. I put that ProLube in it, 4 ounces of it. You put an ounce per quarter, and I'm running up the river the other day, and I'm running 40 mile an hour, and I look back and that cowling is not moving. I mean, it is not. I was like crazy, but hey, good stuff,
Yeah.
You take care of them, do the maintenance. Like, I don't know what year your Ford is, but they're some of the older ones, the new ones. I mean, I don't know much about because I haven't bought a new. The other truck I have is a 16 model. So
hell, I can get my damn trailer brake module fault to go off, Shane. Y'all like rolling with 300,000 miles on a truck, got a new one. I can't even get the damn module fault to clear.
That's the problem with all the newer trucks is all the computer stuff in them.
Hell yeah! I'm like, they say, replace fuse 91. I did that. I said, y'all don't have a damn clue. And I look on the internet, and it's like the same thing over and over again. Everybody's got the same problem. I'm like, this should be a recall, but you know how it is.
that's true.
One of my best friends is dad. I just bought a brand new Ford. I don't know, 3 weeks ago. He had it for about a week, and I seen him. He was pulled over the side of the road. I thought, oh no, what happened? He ran out of gas. Nope, thing just shut down. The computer says, "Up, I'm done."
Man.
It just shut down on him right in the middle of the highway.
That's so frustrating, man. There's a guy. It's got a 21 model Chevrolet. It's burning oil like crazy. Got 39,000 miles on it. And like I said, it's not just Chevrolets or Fords or Toyotas. It's all trucks. I get it, man. And the workforce is changing, guys. I work for industrial contractor RMC, one of our sponsors, and the workforce is changing the same way with these manufacturers, man. It's just
Nobody takes pride in their work anymore.
Exactly.
Let's get back to fishing. We're gonna
let's go fishing.
I'm kind of like Duley caught one of the biggest crappie that one of my buddies, like what I consider one of my close buddies, has ever caught. We were at Grenada together. We're staying together. What was it? It was a 360. Or what was it, Duley?
I thought it was a 332, or was it the time I was fishing that tournament?
All right, so he catches a 332. There's many people in their lifetime will never catch that fish. Tell us about that fish. I don't know what we talked about it before. Bait, what you did. I mean,
yeah. So I was up there on the Schooner Arm pre-fishing. Now this was the first time I've ever been on Grenada. It was about 2 years ago. Yeah, it was that year that I think that Matthew Rogers had the record weight.
He did.
And I was fishing with another guy in this tournament, and then my first time ever pre-fishing or being on this lake, I was pre-fishing over in the Schooner, and I caught a 285, which I was like, wow, that's the biggest fish I ever caught. And followed that up with like another 2.5 and a 187, and I finally left that spot, went somewhere else, and so surely this is not a crappie. It looks like a carp. And I reached down, had a crappie magnet, slab magnet, all chartreuse on, and I just dropped down on that fish, and it nosed up and short struck me. I'm like, whoa, that was probably a crappie. But when they short strike like that, a lot of times if you follow them, he went down to what I've learned over the years. If they short strike and they take off, if you follow them, when they go down to the bottom, they'll come right back up. And when he was coming right back up, I presented my lure just right there on him, and he just nailed it. I mean, it was probably 25, 30 seconds after he short struck me. I caught this fish, and I brought it up, and I put it on the scale. So holy crap, that is one biggest fish I've ever caught. And I measured him and weighed him and threw him back in the water. And I thought, well, you dummy, you've never caught one that big before. Why didn't you get that one mounted?
So, what did I tell you when you got back? I was like, you dumbass.
Yeah. Why isn't that fish in the freezer right now?
That's a big old fish. So you catch him on a long rod, obviously, I guess.
Yes, yeah, I caught it on a long rod. I switch up sometimes between a 10-footer. I'll pitch to them, or a long rod. But most time, Grenada fish, they're most of the time I can't get them to chase. By pitching to them. So you just got to drop down on them, and as long as you can keep the bait out in front of them if they're not moving. But most of the time they're moving, so it's a tough lake to fish. But there's some definite monsters out there.
When they're bringing that water up that time of the year, it's so muddy that you got to just like hold it on them.
Oh yeah, yeah. That time of year.
Dude, tell everybody we both use outlaw crappie poles. If we just take a second and talk about it, how good that Mr. JR has been to me and you and I.
Yeah.
The quality of the product.
Yeah, so my primary rod I use is the 14-foot Outlaw. I like the 15.5-foot, and the only difference between the 15.5 and besides the length difference is the 15.5 is a midsection. You take the midsection out of a 14 and put this other extension in that gives you a 15.5. And they are, I have not broke a rod yet. I've used them well over a year now, and I boat flipped some 2-pound fish in. And actually, the first day of Eufaula, I caught an 8.5-pound flathead, first fish of the morning, on one of them steak beds. And I had that pole, it was almost rod tip to my hand, and it never broke. And but yeah, the sensitivity on those rods are the best. I've used almost every, there's a lot of rods out there, but I've used almost every one of them. All the top brands that you hear about, I've had or I have in my shop. And it's like I told Amos, I said, Amos, I use these rods because I like them and I believe in them. They're really great rods. And like I said, the 14 is my favorite. I use the 12 if the wind gets up too much, and I don't have to. And the fish aren't that spooky. I can just drop down below the boat. The 12 it's a little bit easier for me to handle in the wind. But pretty much the 14 is what I use majority of the time. My shoulder from weed eating all summer long, my shoulder to 15.5, it's still lightweight, but my shoulders just can't take much anymore.
What weight you running on that 14? Just average weight, or are you running above your jig?
Usually a quarter sinker with an 1/8 ounce head.
Gotcha.
Now you follow, these fish were down there in the 18-foot deep area, so I bumped it up to a 7/16 ounce, which I probably should have went heavier, but that's all I had in the boat, because most of the time I don't really use a weight over the head. I just use an 1/8 ounce and just drop it down on them.
I remember you saying that. That's what John was saying too.
Yeah, but when you have to start chasing these fish around, they're not sitting still. Then I have to put the weight on above them just to get the maneuverability and to get the bearing right on them.
Yeah, I had a 14-foot Outlaw too, and I carried a client out, and he was having trouble casting. I put the 14-foot rod in his hand. He went to pitch and catch a fish. I was like, he looked at me. He said, "You're not getting this rod back." I said, "Huh? I mean, I just got the thing." And hey, there it went. Gone.
I remember I stayed with John and Jess in January. I was on my way down to the first Crappie Masters tournament down in St. John's River. Mm-hmm. And I remember I brought him the 14 or a 12, or I brought you a couple Outlaw rods.
Yeah.
On my way down there. That's the first time you got one in your hand, wasn't it?
It was.
Yep.
And I just went from there. Duley, you ever tried this? Like, I heard you talking about 7/16. Have you ever double stack quarters? Like, if you
I haven't. I heard you talking about that, and I'm going to have to get the 6 cents bobber stoppers because the cheap ones off Amazon. I put 3 of them on the bottom, and that still ain't enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's a big. But listen, the thing is, you can go lighter with the line and drop quicker and all, but when you start like really whooping on those fish with that long pole, you want something that's gonna hold up, like line wise. So that heavier line, and you're going down in brush and you're like, getting down in stuff. You want something where you can, be more aggressive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But and you were talking about that 14-foot pole. Shane seen me do it. People on the boat seen me do it. I can boat flip well over a 2-pound fish and pull him over the top of my graph with a 14-foot pole. You put 2-pound weight on the end of that pole on some of these other poles and try to flip it up in the air, and you see what happens.
Yeah. And that's something a lot of people say, well, that pole's too flimsy. I can't boat flip with that flimsy pole. It's all what if you're used to using a broomstick for a year or whatever, it's going to be flimsier. But once you get the feel of it, you can just whoop them right in just like a normal pole. It's just what you get used to and know how it works.
It loads up really well. It does. Rod, I mean, from butt to tip, and when you load up on a fish, it sweeps really well. I will say that. And there's a bunch of rods out there, and you can get online, and they'll be bashing this and that, saying I broke this, I broke that, John and Jessica, they went out to Grenada, I guess this past spring. Those 2 big fish they caught, they had them in their hands, a few days there.
Well, we were there at the expo, and there was every long pole that you could imagine there. I told our booth at the expo, I said, you put that pole right there in your hand, and cost comparison against all these other rods, they're going to be more expensive. But I'll tell you, that one right there will do anything these other ones will do, and you're going to be at a better price point. And I said, a lot of times cheaper isn't better, but in this case, you're getting the quality and you're getting a better price. And I told everybody that came by our booth, and we had several people come back, and they said they felt the same. Your price was better, because it was an outlaw crap pole. I said, well, just try it. If it doesn't work out for you, let us know. If something goes wrong, I said, these guys stand behind their stuff. I said, I promise you. And if you want to get one, it's simple. Fishoutlaw.com.
Something else about outlaws, and I believe this is right. Now, I think Favorite Fishing makes these poles. Is that right?
That's right.
Favorite is a really good brand. They use quality materials and all their stuff.
They were there. They were there at the expo, right?
You're getting, the outlaw pole, you're getting probably the best quality rod out there. Like you said, for the price, even cheaper than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah. What does that 14-foot rod run, John?
Everybody on price.
Yeah. What does it average out running, John? Some people are going to ask, I'm sure.
14 is it one?
No, it's 110 for a 14-foot pole, I think.
110 for the 14. And if you wanted to go to that 15 and a half, you just spend an extra $35 for that midsection, and you have a 15 and a half footer.
Don't quote me, 110, 120.
I think that's about right, John. I think
it's about 120.
Hey, I'll help y'all make it up somehow or another. I'll gigs and send them in the mail to you. How about that? Just buy one and try it.
There you go. So they're talking about the 14-foot outlaw rod. That's what they've been speaking about, guys. A yellow pole. You can't it's a yellow looking. Like I said, I don't have one because my guy took. But
I tell you what, our little local club tournaments that we have over here that I run on our home lake, I think just about everybody there's got an outlaw pole now.
That's good. Well,
they see my boat there at the weigh-in, they grab hold of it. My gosh, that's a lightweight pole there.
Yeah, they're good feeling rod, and then the people behind it. That's the whole good thing about it. I've got Lost Creek Custom Rods, casting rods, and I talk to him several times a week, and he's always asking questions and building rods for people. It's the people behind all this stuff. That's what it's all about, guys. Big time.
Dooley, if we could just get them to make us advisors, me and you'd be set.
I know it.
Y'all got all that hair. I don't have that problem. I ain't on no visor. I'll have a
I'm
ring around
working
my
on
head.
that, though.
I'll have a ring around my head with sunburn. Even in the wintertime, I'll wear a visor.
Hey, John, so go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I had a question. There, you follow. I had to start using that 7/16 ounce weight above my jig. Me being a solo fisherman, I bet you I had to retie my line about 25 times that when I started using that 7/16. You got any tips to keep that jig from flipping around? My line was getting tied around the hook where I had to cut it off and just retie everything. Was I using too big of a weight above and too little of a weight below?
All right. So what was your lower side? You use the same top side and lower side?
No, I was using about a 16th ounce head on the bottom for my jig, and I was using a 7/16 bullet weight.
Okay. What line size were you doing?
12. I was using 12-pound fluoro.
And it was still doing on the top and bottom?
Yes.
All right. So we use 15, and we really had. I don't think we ever had that problem. I don't know if that we use Seaguar 15 and haven't had that problem. But here's the problem. You're gonna have a slower fall with that 15. So that might be something that would aggravate you. But now, if you go into braid and you do the same thing you're talking about, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Yes.
So, Jess, we fished some tournaments 2-3 years ago, and we would just take a piece of split shot and put it above a barrel swivel, and we're flipping fluoro below the barrel swivel. Oh, it was a shit show. It was terrible. I mean, we were hooking at the time, we thought we were doing right, but it was terrible. We had so many problems. But when we went to bottle stoppers, tungsten and double stacking quarters, we got a lot less interference with our jig. But when it's during the wintertime, I use an 1/8 on the bottom because I think it's not as bad. An 1/8 ounce jig, you've got all this falling, and the 1/8 it'll trickle down before you get to the fish. You know what I'm talking about, Duley? I mean, if you got a 64th or a 32nd, you're waiting for that jig to fall below the top weight. It gets aggravating, presentation wise.
Yeah. When I dropped down to a quarter and an 1/8 on bottom, quarter on top, it got a lot better, but boy, it was awfully frustrating. I bet you I lost an hour and a half worth of fishing on that one day just from having to retie all the time.
It was just looping around and tying a knot below your weight on your line. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That 15 might get stiffer where, like, I had a guy tell me one time, he's like, talking about sensitivity. He said, everybody says that braid, you can feel something easier with braid. He put it in a book and was like trying to push braid through a book. He's like, can you feel that? And he took a piece of fluorocarbon and pushed it through a book. He's like, you can feel that on both sides, right? I was like, yeah, I can. But the thing is, I want to be in contact with it's not necessarily the sensitivity, but I want to be in contact with my bait the whole time. But that fluorocarbon's almost like carbon fiber or like fiber internet. That stuff's tough, and it can push this way and it bend this way. Well, I want to be in contact, with my jig the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm throwing that light jig, I feel like with that braid, I can feel any sensitivity or anything. But yeah, is it stiffer? That fluorocarbon, yes, it's stiffer. You can, up and down wise it is. But I feel like you're catching more drag coming down through the water.
Right.
Yeah, you're saying. Go ahead, John.
See it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess you can upsize your weight if you use heavier line, and have the same, like we were talking about in the, I guess it's something you have to play with, Ryan. You might get 15 and use a 1/2 ounce and it work out great. I mean.
Yeah.
Well, and I tell you, it's terrible trying to use braid on a real long pole.
That's awful.
Get around that tip.
I fished one tournament with some braid, and I spent an hour, 2 hours undoing the tip, and I decided that was the last time I ever used braid. No more.
I love it for casting, but they can have it on that long pole. I'm not doing.
So William White was asking the question, what size line to use on your long rods, and y'all answering. John said he's running 15-pound cigar fluorocarbon, right, John?
Yeah. I've been using Spro. I don't know if anybody's heard of Spro lately, SPRO. I've been running 12-pound Spro here lately. I really seem to like it pretty good. I watched a YouTube video, and it kind of outscored almost all the other fluorocarbons as far as memory, friction, and toughness, and abrasion. And so I thought I'd give it a shot. You can't find it right now. I don't think they're going to have any ready for until fall, but so far I like it pretty good. But I was using Cigar 15 before then.
I bet that 12 works out great when you're just throwing an 1/8 jig. So what depth water are you fishing? When you're pitching just an 1/8 with no weight above it, what depth water generally are you fishing there, Ryan?
I'm fishing 15 or less, usually around 10 foot.
Okay, so that 1/8 works. Are you pitching out, letting it pedal, or are you dropping straight on them usually? What are you doing with it?
It depends on what kind of mood they're in. If they're chasing, then I will pitch out there about 20 foot away and just bring it right over the top of their head. Most of the time that works, but when they, like you said, when they get in bad moods, sometimes you just got to irritate them and just got to put it right there on their nose. And that's what you follow was I had to put it right there on their nose the whole time. And actually, I come think about the biggest fish I caught on that. I can't remember. I think it was the third day. I caught a 210 or 219 or something like that. But I actually put a 3-inch cutthroat jig on. I've been using a 3-inch. Yeah, I've been using small, and these big fish, they were just. I mean, everybody's fishing that area. I mean, I bet you that fish that I caught that. I bet the one I caught that with on that 3-inch cutthroat, I bet it's seen Hayden's jig at least 3 times that day, and,
exactly.
So I put that 3-inch cutthroat on, and that sucker turned up and it was coming, and it's kind of like buck fever, like, oh my gosh, I got his attention, and here he come, and he smashed it.
That's awesome, man. So.
Duley, we getting close to the end here. I know we've been over an hour.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell everybody right quick how you run your live scope settings? We try to touch base on this with everybody one time, so if you don't mind, run through that. Yeah,
so I run a double live scope system. I use the 32 transducer out about 70 feet. And the reason I use a 32 is I feel like I can judge the size of a fish better with the 32 than I can the 34. But when I get within 30 feet, I switch over to the 34 and catch the fish with the 34.
All right, everybody, listen up. He's putting it on you right here, so listen up.
That's right. He's running dual transducers.
Yeah, so I don't have to tap the button to bring my distance back in after every fish. I just, those Garmin 8616s, they got presets on them. I just touch the screen once and it switches both of them. But now the 34 is harder to keep up with running fish than the 32 as far as that beam goes. So that's something you have to kind of get trained to. But I run high noise reject. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I like it. I seem to get by with it. I run my TVG on low. Usually my gain is around 60, 65%, and I'll run my color gain up around 78 to low 80s. If I'm out roaming fish, now if I'm on structure, I'll bump my color gain down a little bit, just so everything's so bright in stake beds and trees and stuff. And anyway, I think that's my settings. I actually do run my color limit on my old live scope transducer at around 34, I think.
Really? Okay.
That's on you too?
That's on my far out. That's on my 32 transducer. Yeah. On my 34, no color limit.
So everybody, what he's saying is he's looking around with that 32 in size of fish, and then when he gets ready to fish for those fish, he's using that 34. So if
Catch them.
Yeah.
See, the
a lot of people
34 is so. When I first got 34, all the fish seemed a lot brighter because it's a lot more clear and detail. And so when you're zoomed out there 70 feet, they all look like big fish from afar. And you know, I don't know if I told you. I think I might have told you this, John, but I had 2 horrible tournaments this summer, and I was blaming a lot of it on my not getting to fish much. But I come to find out I had my transducer switched on the presets. I got them labeled, so I was scanning with my new transducer and catching with my old, and things just wasn't jiving for me very well. And I finally. I was out on the water, and it took me 2 hours to figure out what was going on. It was on Lake Fork, and that's when I realized what had happened. I had them switched around.
That's awesome. We appreciate you sharing all that with us, guys. We've been an hour and 10 minutes. Still 54 people with us. Thank y'all for staying on here. And hey, there's a lot of information dropped out. The good thing is this thing is recorded, and it'll be on YouTube. You can watch it. So, John and Jessica, appreciate you. Ryan, appreciate you, buddy. We'll hang out after the show. We'll talk a little bit. Thank all y'all for turning in. Go ahead, John. You got.
There's one good question we need to answer before we go.
Yeah. Where's it at? You see it?
Johnny Mooney has always been good to us. All right. So Ryan, just answer this one question. We'll get off. How long does it take you to swap the transducer? He doesn't understand exactly what you're saying swapping to transducers.
So Sonny, on the back of an 86 16, I think most all to like a 1222, you've got 2 ports on the back for that Cat 5 cable slot. And so each transducer, I put 1 in each slot. And when you go to your settings, you can tap on Live Scope 1 and you can do a preset. If you got the buttons on the side, you can hold down like number 1 and put 1 transducer as preset 1. And then you go to Live Scope 2 and you can put that on preset number 2. Now with the touch screens, down to bottom is the preset. And since I only got 2 presets, all I gotta do is hit that button 1 time and it swaps the transducers. And you can get into settings and actually get technical and label old transducer or new transducer, and it'll show up on your screen so you know which one you're looking at. And that's where I messed up at Ford. Is my new transducer on the screen was actually my old transducer, so it was, I don't know how that happened, but anyway, it happened.
Crazy, man. Appreciate you setting that setup, man.
And I couldn't pass that question up. I'm sorry.
I didn't see it. I seen it when you said something. I clicked on it as soon as you said something, guys. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, John and Jessica, as always, man.
Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it, man. Like I said, we got to talk about all kinds of stuff. Appreciate everybody staying on here. We'll see y'all next Thursday live, 7 o'clock.